Hi everyone, good morning.
I am Vea Bianca L, Viray, and we are going to discuss is LIMS by any other name still LIMS?
And I am Daxx Kenu Bugtai, the partner of Miss Viray. And now, let us start reporting. Okay, so is ALIMS by any other name still ALIMS? So first, what is LIMS? So LIMS is also called Laboratory Information Management System. So over the many years, the word LIMS has grown to encompass a vast number of different software applications. And also, a LIMS or Laboratory Information Management System is a software solution that helps laboratories throughout the world that manage data, automate process, and also comply with regulations. And next is, the first thing to understand is that with all this complexity, there are a few distinctions that can help you focus on the right product for your organization. So LIMS differs in every organization that you are in, especially in medical setting, for physician, for medical technologists, and for nurses, and for etc. So, ALIMS, as the name implies, is used to efficiently manage laboratory samples and data, hence standardizing operations by preserving processes, test, and reporting protocols. And the classic LIMS has developed to meet the changing needs of laboratories, with the system being capable of much more than just tracking samples. So laboratory these days have different kinds of changes, especially in improving its systems. So LIMS also adapted to each changes. Okay, so let's have an example of an LIMS. Okay, so this is a typical cannabis testing laboratory workflow that is tracked through a laboratory information management system. So in this example, it is a way how LIMS tracks a system. So let's look further in this chart. Okay, so the first one is, first, the client's request to get the sample is being encoded and will be further in process. And the next thing that LIMS tracks is, after the request is received and encoded, the courier will then be dispatched where the sample is and will then record the sample's information in the sample field log for the chain of custody begins. So after that step is in this part, the sample arrives at the lab and encoding data of the sample will be done, which then be having its unique code for each sample. So each sample in the LIMS will have different unique codes. So that is why LIMS is very important in this particular data. So the laboratory techs will batch the samples for each analysis. So after that the samples are being handled by the laboratory techs, it will then be batched in groups. So the sample will then be homogenized and subsampled for further analysis. And the next is the client sample and QC or quality control samples is now prepared. And after the next step is the samples are now loaded into further testing and analysis that are appropriately generated. And the number 8 is the analysis result will be done by the instrument software. If the analysis is abnormal or unsure, okay, not all tests are perfect. So a sample retest will be done and goes back to the process number 6. If successful ang result, then it will proceed to the next process, which is number 9. Okay, so number 9, the output or the result from the instrument software will be generated and uploaded to the LIMS. The data is attached to the unique sample identifier. So LIMS has its unique code, right? And then the data will be attached into a unique sample identifier for it to be automated when it is searched. So number 10, the QC sample parameters are further checked by the LIMS for data report. Further checked pa ni siya. If the checking is abnormal or unsure, again, so a sample retest will be done and goes back to process number 6 again and again if it is unsure or abnormal. And also if it is successful, then proceed to number 11. And the data will be reviewed by the assigned manager or designee. So we have human power in here. So if the data checking is still abnormal or unsure, a retest will be done and goes back to process number 6 again. Pero if it is successful, then proceed to the process 12. And in the process 12, the data is finalized and will be sent to the client na dayon. And after it is finalized, the LIMS itself will send the data, and also while tracking the data and tracing the data itself. So the data package is in assembly form. And after that, then it will be sent to the regulatory body, and after that is then the sample that was being analyzed and its information encoded to the LIMS, it is then will be pulled for destruction. Okay, all of the information has already been established in the LIMS, so the physical sample will not be needed anymore, and it is why it is pulled for destruction. And that is an example of the LIMS, which is the cannabis regulatory.
As with any industry, technology solutions in laboratories have facilitated compliance with strict record-keeping requirements and created solutions for tracking data quality indicators more efficiently and consistently than with paper or spreadsheets. These advances have made it possible to effectively address gaps in data. Technology solutions in laboratories are Laboratory Information Management System or LIMS. This is a software that allows you to effectively manage samples and associated data. By using LIMS, your lab can automate workflows, integrate instruments, and manage samples and associated information in which advances and effectively address gaps in data. Paper records can increase risk of errors and non-compliance and make it difficult to assess large amounts of data for trends. Indeed, if data is stored in paper, companies face unnecessary risk associated with non-compliance, which surely will result in having difficulty in assessing large amount of data for trends. In order to have trends, it must have a series of data sets for easy analyzation and evaluation to observe trend data or either easily manage the associated data. Some regulatory standards require secondary review on any data entered from handwritten records due to the high probability of transcription error. Inputting data through handwritten may be a deficient trait, making illegible data. People don't always write perfect numbers and letters, especially if you are a time crunch operator. When data is entered manually, there is plenty of room for error. The result is costly delays or even inefficient data records and frustrated staff. If there is room for error, then that can result in difficulty processing information in medical research or in department services and laboratory operations. In response, a comprehensive software system that can track raw data from sample intake to the production of a certificate of analysis has become the standard in all types of laboratories. In all types of laboratories, just like pharmaceutical laboratories, biobanks, genomic testing centers, and laboratories, it's important to have accurate and detailed records necessary to make sure that samples are not lost or mixed up. And so, the Laboratory Information Management System, or LIMS, provided that as it made up to improve the efficiency of the department's services and laboratory operations.